Welcome to The Grow Show, where we speak with leading business experts to help you grow yourself, grow your business, and grow your community. Now here's your host, Gary Jones.
Hey folks, how are you doing? Welcome to this episode of The Grow Show. Now today you are going to be listening to a real cool exclusive from Grow Live 2020. Yes, we have got Teresa Brooks talking all about sales. Now she covers so many different types of topics, plus also the fears and loads of hints and tips about how you can get more sales within your business. So sit back, relax and enjoy this questions and answer session with Teresa.
You who are watching live, you will have just enjoyed Stacey's session. For those watching on the replay, I don't know if you're watching it through in order, but definitely worth going back and checking out Stacey Calder talking all about how you can grow and engage with your social media. And now you know how to get your name out there. Now you know how to market yourself and find people and get them following you and interacting with you. That's all useless without following through on it. And that's where sales comes in. Marketing's brilliant, but without the sales, it's hard to push it over the edge. So I'd like to welcome now to the stage, the virtual stage, the wonderful Teresa Brooks. She is an NLP business and sales coach, the founder of Coach Magazine. She's going to be talking about sales, busting the myths around it, and helping you to develop your sales mindset for client-focused business growth. Doesn't that sound amazing? Teresa, take it away.
Oh, thanks for that amazing introduction, Duncan. And it's great to see, hey Gary, it's great to see some familiar faces on here and nice to catch the end of Stacey's set as well, which was fantastic. So yeah, it's really interesting that Duncan has said about following up and that making the clear point that the marketing and the sales are actually different things. So whereas they're best friends, and these days, you know, with amazing funnels, automation and all kinds of stuff, your marketing can almost do your sales for you, which is amazing for people that really don't like sales, right? But the thing is, it doesn't do all of that, and they are very, very separate. And, you know, over the last 20 years, since I started, you know, my first sales job at 23, that's pretty much all I have done. And one of the things that I think is really interesting is the hard time that people give themselves when they think they're not very good at sales, you know, or they're rubbish. And that is the thing really, which is you're not being very kind to yourself there, because unless you've had sales training, unless you've been in a sales career, there's lots and lots of things that you just won't know. A lot of assumptions. Duncan mentioned assumptions. And so I think Gary and I have put together some questions which will help you. And of course, you know, any others that come up, fine. But these are some of the most common ones. And I thought that might be the easiest way, rather than me kind of like laboring through a whole presentation just on sales for you, to actually answer the questions and talk about some of the things that come up and what people feel about it. So Gary, if you want to just pick my brain, it is open.
Yeah, no, I love it. And if you want to catch up with anything that we've said in the past, Teresa was on episode number 4 of The Grow Show. So please check that out, because we talk about so much more than what we've got time for today. But let's start off with quite a kind of wide topic. But why do people freak out when they hear the term sales? You know, is it scary? Is it complicated? But why do, you know, some people kind of go towards it, but some people kind of shy away from it? How come?
Well, you've just kind of answered your own question there, really, Gary, because salespeople will never shy away from sales or won't freak out about it. And that's the clear difference, is that sales is a career. There's a lot of people in the sales industry, and that's what they do. And that's what I did all day long. It was very clear, it was very open. We were sales consultants, we made a lot of money, we talked about money, we had the right mindset, none of the stuff. And I think when you come into the entrepreneurial world, it depends who you're talking about. So if you're talking about entrepreneurs who are starting their own business and they are their own brand, a lot of things start to muddy the water there, because people will assume that their sale is themselves. So when you're offering a service and you're thinking about putting a price ticket on, they're just too close to it really, and they don't understand what sales actually is. Okay. And so immediately they think, oh my goodness, I've got to get money out of somebody. So it's the way that people think about it. It's the language that they use around it. And of course, that's not what sales is. So really the transaction is right at the end of the most fantastic communication journey, you know, that you can experience, which is why I love it, because I love communication. The byline and the outcome of that is a good sale, a good healthy sale, and it's got the right ticket on it, and of course it's money in the bank, so you're building your business. But the reason that they get scared and freak out about it is because the money and what it means and all of your limiting beliefs and attachments and experiences around that all come in right at the beginning when you just say the word sales.
Yeah, it kind of cascades straight into that, doesn't it? And then your previous beliefs, that makes such a difference. When you're looking at kind of sales, there's, I suppose, a number of different types of sale methods that people do. You know, cold calling for one, you know, phone sales, direct messaging on, you know, different platforms. Is there one particular method which is really, really beneficial, got a really good success rate, or does it depend on the person and depends on the kind of the product and service?
Yeah. Okay. So let me just set one thing really straight here. Okay. Every single sale and sales process that you go through is the same. Okay. The sales process that you're going through and what you're doing and how you're communicating with that person and for what reason and why is the same. Every sale is the same. All these are different communication methods. And a really good thing to think about that is that when you're communicating with your clients, how do they like to be communicated with? Okay. And that's really what you want to be doing when you think about it. So there isn't a best one, because what's best for me isn't best for you. But if I like to speak on Messenger about our conversations, then don't try and take me over onto email. You know, just follow me on Messenger. If I like to audio, you can audio with me. If I like to FaceTime you, FaceTime with me. And if I like to just pick up the good old fashioned phone, then do that. Because what you're doing, Gary, is you're connecting with somebody. And you need to connect with them in this conversation in the way that they like to be connected with. And you know how that feels when that's not quite right. And someone keeps doing something, send you long emails, and actually you just want to have a chat. All of that is very interruptive to the rapport that you're building within the sales communication. So in sales, you've got a framework. Okay, there's an A to Z. There's pretty much 7 steps of the sale, and there's all phases. So that's the foundation. That's what I teach people, and that's what they need to know. On top of that, you've got all the good stuff, all the communication, all the rapport. So it's a three-layered, 3-tiered process, if you like, sales. It's not a straightforward thing. Again, back to the same comment about why would you expect to be great at it when you've never done it? And yet lots of people just seem to be great enough in their businesses to do really well. So imagine if they were better. But yeah, to answer that question, it's really all about going with what somebody likes, how they like to be worked with, and their communications. Because if you get that bit wrong, you'll just be annoying. So none of those methods are better than another one, really. Yeah, you use them all as well.
I love it, because when I'm talking to customers about, and people just in general, about what marketing methods they should kind of communicate their messages to the customers to, it's exactly that. You know, the first question is who is your audience? Who do you want to talk to? And what type of content do they engage with? Yeah. It echoes exactly what you've said. And
we overcomplicate things. Things. With, you know, what's the best way? What's the secret magic? What's the trick? What's the tactic? You know, and really there is, well, you know, the way that I, you know, do sales, there's none of that. But there's a huge amount that's about the client. And that goes for everything. Your content, your message, your sales conversations, you're building relationships, but relationships alone won't cut it. You know, this is the thing.
No, and that's very true. Remember, if you're watching this, you know, in the Zoom call, if you've got any questions for Teresa, put them in the chat. Or put your hand up, and we will kind of go straight to you and ask them, go for it. Because we've got Teresa here who's got years experience. Let's use her. Let's use her to answer your question.
The only time I'll say use and abuse me, so you might as well go for it.
I've got a quick question for you in that case, while everyone's thinking. And it's all about pricing. So is it harder to sell higher priced items or high ticket items than kind of lower price?
Oh, this is a great one. I love this question. And you and I have talked about this. So again, picking from the previous conversation, just a couple of minutes back, every sale is the same. Okay, now people think that there's these really different ways that you can actually teach people to sell high ticket, or you've got to be different when you're doing that. It's not the case. The difference between the £5 customer, the £5 sale and the £5,000 sale is simply the client. Okay, because just because something's a fiver doesn't mean you want it, doesn't mean you need it, doesn't mean it's cheap. I mean, I've had people go on and on, it's only £2.50, it's only a fiver, it's only a tenner. I don't want it. I don't need it. So
Yeah,
it's not really about that. It's about whether your client wants and needs what you've got. It's about the value proposition. It's about getting everything in order. So it's about speaking to the right person at first. But of course, the only thing that may differ slightly, and not always necessarily, is the time that the process takes. So you might think that a £5 sale is quick and easy. But in my experience, the smaller customers and the people that spent the least were the biggest nightmare. So, that's how it can be as well. But it's really about getting your positioning right. You mentioned that your positioning is totally right. So, people freak out and worry about the sale, this bit they're doing in the middle. But actually what they need to worry a little bit more about is who's coming in at the start. Because having a bad experience with the wrong people and not being able to sell to them could lead you to believe that you're rubbish at sales, which isn't actually the case. But in fact, you haven't got the right clients. So, if you're the pound shop, make sure that everybody knows you're the pound shop. And, if you're not, if you're Harrods, make sure everybody knows that you're Harrods, because when they come to you, they've got an expectation. They're already, what we would call in the old days, they're already more qualified, and now we've changed it to ideal client. Whatever you want to call it, it's the same thing. Yeah.
nice.
So there's no difference, Gary. There's no difference. It's just, different sophistication levels of and different clients and different types of communication. Again, you need to sort of match who you're speaking to. But the sales process is the sales process. That's it. It just gets tailored and chopped about to suit.
I suppose it's the same if we go from high ticket to sales. It's the same process. If you've got your propositioning right, if you know where your target audience is looking to buy and how they're looking to buy, does price come into it, or kind of is that a factor?
Well, your price, of course, it comes into it. It's a major factor. And that's where it can be, people either underprice or overprice, but that's when you're going to be talking about the value proposition. It's what you're offering. Does it make sense? Is it positioned right? Is it packaged up right? Does it serve the need? Does it match everything? And is the price right? And all of these things, it's like getting all your ducks in a row, isn't it? And of course, price is a massive thing. And some people just buy literally on price. The reason being is because they've done a lot of the legwork before. But where I'm coming from and what we're talking about today and what my zone of genius is when you're in front of a person, when they're on a call like this, or, in the old days, face to face, hopefully we will get back to that, an actual person. But for now, it's like this, and you can do just as well like that. So, I help women to be able to do that, to take people through that journey. And when you've been doing that for so many years, okay, you can't expect to just nail that in a few minutes, but there are certain things that you can tweak really, really quickly. So I call it high touch sales. It's selling by hand. It's real personal stuff. But while I'm stalking, I'm not stalking, I'm talking.
That's a whole different kind of tactic.
We won't have that discussion here. Yeah. So when I'm talking to people, I know what my bottom framework is. I know what I'm doing. I know the process. So when things go off track, or, they might start talking about something else, I'm totally able to negotiate all of that along the line. So when people start talking about stalking and other things, we can bring it back to where we were.
Love it. I love it.
Yeah.
And Freudian slip there, right there. So we've got a
Hilarious.
question from Neil, who's watching at the moment. So so he's kind of talking about, sometimes in business you need a quick win. You need something to kind of generate a bit of kind of cash flow, a bit of income. What is, in your opinion and experience, is the best way of doing this? What do you reckon?
So the question is, what's the best way of generating a quick bit of income?
A quick win. Yeah. So in a nutshell, if you're looking for a quick win, a couple of weeks, the mortgage is going out, you haven't got enough to cover, how could you get it?
So what you've got to have a look at is what you do. Okay. So have a look at your big skill set. Okay. So what you might do. So what you might, is Neil a photographer, or is that just a cool, is that Neil? at the bottom
No,
here on the
Neil
call?
is a
Got a different
photographer.
Neil.
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
Cool,
Neil, if
okay,
you want to
great.
jump in, go for it if you want.
Yeah, sure. So, you might have like an ideal package or something that you do that really is what you want to do. So I don't know what kind of photographer you are, but you might be, let's say you're a wedding photographer. You want to do a whole wedding, for instance. So you're going to have basically your top package of what you would like to sell. And that's really what you're after. But if you're looking for something that you can, as you call it, a quick win, or you can just get out there and sell, you need to take a chunk of your skills. You need to take a pocket of your skills and you need to package it up into something that people might want at a price that they might want. Does that make sense? So without speaking to you directly, I couldn't be more specific about your
That's
actual
cool.
products.
So his mic on his laptop's broken, so he can't jump in.
Oh, that's all right.
But I think
we'll just answer
I think what he doesn't want to do is kind of do the spammy sale messages. That's the bit he doesn't want to do, especially with new businesses who haven't had the time to build a trust relationship.
So the question is there really, why do you think it's spammy? What's spammy about it? That essence really, again, is coming from sales fears. Because if you've got a great little offer, okay, and it's the right price and you can attract the right people to it, there's nothing spammy about that at all. What you've got to realize is that if people have got a problem or they need your service or they're looking for it, then you've got a need to fill. Okay, it's almost like a duty. You've got to offer this stuff out so that people can actually buy it. Sometimes you might offer something out and you might not get a huge amount of uptake, and it could just be the price is not quite right, the package needs changing, maybe you haven't done your market research. Find out what people would like and package that up for them. Get the right price on it. And so you can ask people sometimes. The best way is to find out what would people like. So you take a pocket of your skills, you package it into something. And as for spammy, well, spammy, we talk about this a lot. And I know some people, on this call in this group, and it's something we've discussed a lot. Spammy is what happened to me the other day when somebody that I don't know and I haven't got a relationship with, and I might be vaguely connected on Facebook, I do seem to be, spammed my inbox, not once, twice, but maybe 3 times, with something that they are selling. Now, what was interesting about that was there was something in there that I had an interest in. But that to me is really spammy because I don't know this person. And when I did reply, they were like, oh, thanks for replying and stuff. And then we went forward and we talked a little bit about it, but then it just went cold because obviously they're not prepared to take me through the journey, the process, and find out any more about me and what I need and what I want. So it just went cold. That's spammy. All right. I wouldn't recommend doing that to anybody. And this is why sales, when you say quick wins, you can have quick wins, but only when you've built your audience and you've built a good following and you've built a good set of customers. And then you can say, hey guys, look, this is what I'm doing. This special offer for this, about this, blah, 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 XYZ, making it up, Neil. And this is the price and this is what I'm offering out at the moment. And your customers will like that, but you can't just do that and whack it out to everybody. It's what we used to call spraying and praying. It's prospecting from hell is what that is. and you really, really don't want to be doing that on social selling. No,
I'm quite happy to kind of talk about my experiences with this at this stage, because I've had about 12, 13 years of retail, kind of working in retail. And in retail, you've got a sales process. You've got a framework where you kind of do to make sure that all of the stores and all of the kind of people in the sales team, sales force, sell the same way. So the experience for the customer is the same if you go anywhere. So I'm used to that structured selling. And I not stupidly, because that was my own kind of belief, but when I started my own business, I didn't want to do that. And with this event, you know what, it's pushed me out of the kind of entrepreneur pure value kind of side, and I become a salesperson again. And you know what, I kind of enjoyed it. I did kind of enjoy it. I know, because
great.
What I started doing was I started having more conversations. So I started throwing out messages to all the people. So I've got 2 groups: my growing circles, my mentoring group, and then the grow community, which is my free Facebook group. So I threw a message out to start a conversation with each and every person in there. At the end of it was a little kind of little side note. Also, if you've want to go to Grow Live as part of the community, and thank you, please use this promo code as guest. That was my way of giving value to them, but also seeing how many people I could have conversations with.
Yeah.
I've had more conversations doing that than I have ever. And spending that time talking to people has generated a few sales for Grow Live, for sure. But that's only one part of it.
Yeah.
It's the conversations. It's having loads of conversations.
Yeah, I
and
love
being
that.
in their eye line.
It's true,
It is.
because it's communication, and the things that you knew from the past, and the techniques that you knew in the process, you do need to bring that forward into your framework, into your business, and then just tailor it to suit. But it's only ever about connections. And people always ask me, oh, what do I say? What do I say on the call? Okay, literally, and this is a big question.
Great question.
What do I say? And as we're talking about conversations, this might lead naturally, so I can give you some nuggets, hopefully. And the thing is that actually you want to say a lot less than you think, because what you're doing is, when you get onto a sales call, is that you need information. Okay, you need to understand. And sales and coach training, oh my goodness, they just go beautifully together now. I see so much, and also NLP as well. Fantastic trio there. And you need a lot of information. So again, back to why people are panicking, is because they think they're going to get on a call and they think they've got to do a pitch, make a sale, sell the stuff, like be dynamic, be amazing, and get a yes at the end. And they see it like that. And it's not like that at all. In fact, you really want to put the sale part of it completely out of your mind when you get onto your discovery call, because it's about finding out what somebody wants, why they're there, what they're looking for, what their values are, what's important to them. When do they want to do this? There's a lot of things that you need to tie in, and you can't get all that information when you're chattering away because you're so worried about when you're going to pitch for the sale and say all your stuff that you've been practicing. So you need to really not say so much, okay, but ask the questions. And there's parts to do more and less of that within the sales process as well that I teach, because what you need to let people unpack their stuff in front of you and tell you. And within that, when you can really understand the nuances of all that communication, you'll get so much more that then you can go forward to the next stage and be able to share your knowledge and match what you're doing. But if you don't get enough information out of them and you don't know what's important to them, you won't be able to match your services to them, because you won't have enough to tack on to. Does that make sense? So you're not saying so much. It's not what you say, it's what you don't say. Okay, you need to gather the information, but you don't want to be like the FBI of sales either. Like, it's not an interrogation. So no. It's got to be a natural conversation. And this is where the art comes in, is knowing what you're doing in that natural conversation, so that people don't feel sold to. They just feel like they've had a great conversation with you. You can ask any of my clients, and I know this 100%, that they will not feel like they have been sold to in that horrible way that we all dread. I don't like that, and nobody else likes that. So it's the art, really, of sales communication is what it's about. But yeah, say less, ask more.
I like that. And I always find, if you're not too sure about what to say, ask a question, because then that also buys you time as well to do that. So
yeah,
it's a great way of doing it. And I can remember thinking back to my good old forced sale days, where I was selling products I didn't really believe in, which I suppose actually is another thing. You've got to believe in your product and believe in your service.
Well, if you're yourself and you are your product and you don't believe in it, you've got a problem, because, when you're in structured sales, so, I've sold other people's services, advertising space, media. I worked for Yellow Pages for years. I'm selling a concept, really, a space in the air of like something that will bring you business. So it's pretty interesting. But yes, I believed in those products. Sometimes I didn't, and I would avoid selling certain ones, and then I would get a little kick up the bum. You've got to sell this stuff. But I was never very comfortable with those parts. And I'd rather sort of, miss a little target in that area and make it up there than sell someone something they didn't need. But yeah, if you're in your own business and you are your brand, you have to know and believe in yourself. You have to know who you are, what your values are, and building a business based on that will give you confidence, really, which is what is lacking. Confidence comes into sales a lot. People will say, oh, if only I was more confident. Now, that's great, because confidence is a big part of it. tonality is a big part of it, believe it or not, how you speak and the intonation that you have on certain words and what you do. Okay, there's a lot that you can do in your sales conversations that are very subtle but very powerful. But you know, it's really important to know who you are and what you're offering out, and to believe in that, Gary. You're so right. Yes.
No, I'm nodding my head because I completely get it, and I love it.
Nodding dogs here, yeah.
I really do. Yeah, I do. It's great.
Yeah.
So we've got time for a couple more questions.
Okay.
Literally, we've been talking for 23 minutes, so thank you so much. We've got.
It's quick, doesn't it?
I've got one in the chat. It does, and I've got then one that I just want to kind of throw out to you as well. So Duncan's put in the chat, what's the most effective thing that people can do for themselves to improve how they feel about those sales conversations?
What's the most effective thing people can do for themselves to improve how they feel about sales conversations?
Bingo, that's it.
Okay. So first of all, I'd need to know how you do feel about the sales conversations in order to change that. But let's assume that you don't like them. Would that be fair to say that you're not keen on them? You've really got to ask.
Out there, yeah.
Yeah, you've got to ask yourself, you know, what don't I like about the sales conversation? So is he able to answer that bit for me?
Yeah, sure.
Or how?
So
he's there, Duncan, brilliant.
Hello. Yeah, I posted the question to kind of spark conversation. I personally, I love it because I know that I can help people. My sales conversations don't feel like sales conversations. No. Most of the time, my real kind of sales conversations come when someone's booked to have that conversation with me, so we can find out if it's the right approach for them. And
okay, I'm with you. I hear you. Yeah.
But I know that a lot of people I speak to, that's something that they really struggle with, is that they feel uncomfortable is probably the key thing about having those conversations. I think it's probably an element of fear, doubt, and a lack of confidence in themselves. I just wondered, in your experience, because I'm sure people listening are going to benefit from that, in your experience, what probably the simplest, and I appreciate giving an answer that covers everything for everyone, it's never going to really work, but what's the most effective, most common thing that helps make that difference?
Yeah, great. Thanks, Duncan. So now I can give you that answer. The thing that you do is you shift the focus, okay? So instead of trying to figure out all your stuff all at once and all your limiting beliefs and everything that's packed down and all of that jazz, which we can do, shift the focus off you and on to your client, okay? So you need to tell yourself, this is not about me. Okay, so you need a bit of an affirmation there. This is not about me. I'm not here to find my next relationship, best friend, marriage, whatever. This is not about me. Okay, because that person doesn't really care too much about you and all your problems and what you think about sales. They're the one with the problem. They're the person that needs the help and the support. So if you find yourself feeling uncomfortable, you just need to tell yourself, it's not about me. This is about my client. So, you know, the three things that I work on is serve, solve, and sell. So this is the first stage. You're serving somebody else, okay? So you need to just shift that focus, take a new perspective and think, how can I help this person? Just think about it really simply. How can I help this person and what do they need? Let's just begin. And all the limiting beliefs and the stuff that is from the past and packed down, you can sort out in another area. So shift focus is the answer to that one. So I hope that helps. Is there another question? Because I wanted to give you a gem on when they say, I'll think about it. So
I'll tell you what, we've got literally 1 more minute.
Okay.
So go for that, because I think that's a great question, and then we'll finish it all
right.
up.
Let's do it. Speed sales talk. So when they say, I'll think about it or leave it with me. That was our worst nightmare in sales. So I used to come out of my corporate calls years ago, ring my friend and we'd say, leave it with me. We'd go, oh no, not leave it with me. So if someone says, I'm going to think about it, okay, there's some things that have gone possibly a little bit wrong. There's a lot to unravel quite quickly there. But the main thing is you need to know what they're thinking about. So you need to find a way in their language, continuing the rapport that you've built, to ask them, what exactly is it that you're thinking about? You might not say it quite like that, but you need to know, because it could reveal something else, which you could then go back and then you could actually close that call. So try not to leave it with them when they say, I'll think about it. At least find out what they're thinking about. Always show empathy, understand it's a consideration. And the tip that I would give you is to take it back on yourself and say, if there's anything that I haven't explained properly, and that could be the case, or there's something that's burning in your mind, a question, tell me now. This is the space while I'm here, and I can help you with that. Hopefully that fit in the last
I think
minute.
that is a brilliant way to finish it off. Thank you very much for that. If people wanted to connect with you on social or find out more information on your website, how can they? Let's throw it out
So
there.
easy. Just put my name into social media and up I pop. It's really
There
simple.
you go.
My website's under rebrand, but everywhere else I'm in full flow.
We've had comments in the chat that they love the talk. It's the best talk yet. Thank you so much, Teresa, for your time. I
So
love that.
welcome. I hope that helps.
Oh, I'm chuffed. And also check out the rebrand. It looks fantastic.
Oh,
really
thanks,
does
Gary.
look fantastic.
Yeah, a lot of hard
so
work.
thank you. I can imagine. So I'm going to stop the recording now, pass it back on to Duncan, and then I think we're going to go on to a break. But thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of The Grow Show. And if you want to catch up with Teresa and what she's doing, check her out on social media and check out her website for more info. And if you want more information about Grow Live 2020, how you can get all of the recordings, then the link is in the show notes. Plus, also, you can get an exclusive chance to be part of Grow Live 2021. Again, check out that link in the show notes for more information. But anyway, take care, everyone. See you all soon. And this has been The Grow Show with me, Gary Jones. Have a good day. Take care.
Thanks for listening to The Grow Show. With new shows available every week, if you know anyone else who could benefit from these powerful insights, please share this podcast with them. And don't forget to subscribe.